you, Brian. Our last speaker now there from London is Dr. Roderick.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for turning up today in sunny Carrigaline. And a very special thanks to those of you who travelled long distances. I know some of you have come from Tyrone and the north of Ireland and from Donegal. So thank you very much for your support. 20 years ago I wrote a book on the side effects of farm salmon. And for 20 years I've battled to fight the side effects of this industry. But I can tell you that nothing has changed in the last 20 years. The Department of the Marine, it still refuses to listen to any other voice other than its own. And with you, the taxpayers' money, it encourages and supports the proposed reckless explosion of salmon farming. So here in front of Mr. Calvini's offices today, we, that's I and FISTA, would like to lodge 4 very public objections. Number 1, we object to the building of giant salmon farms and to the massive expansions of others, because they are killing off more and more of our wild salmon and sea trout, threatening them with extinction in certain waters. Our second objection is to the huge volumes of filth and toxic wastes from these farms polluting our waters. Bord Iascaigh proposed mega complex of farms off Inishgear in the Aran Islands will be the same weight equivalent as 300,000 sheep or 100,000 pigs. So the volumes of pollutants entering into the local waters will be unacceptably high. Number 3, we object to the huge volumes of insecticides, fungicides and dangerous chemicals that will be flushed into our shallow bays and estuaries. Some of these chemicals have been used illegally, others cause cancer, and some are banned in other parts of the world. But the Department of the Marine has always permitted salmon farmers to use what they want, and they are simply allowed to regulate themselves, which is unique in any other industry in the world. And our fourth objection is we object to the gross exaggeration in the number of jobs that will be created by Bord Iascaigh complexes. Today, salmon farming is highly mechanized. It needs less and less workers, not more and more, and the few menial jobs created will be cancelled out by the local job losses in tourism, angling and shellfish businesses. Now, over a year ago, the Norwegian government gave the Nobel Peace Prize to Liu Xiaobo, the famous Chinese civil rights activist. Now, the Chinese government responded by refusing to buy any more Norwegian salmon. So our Minister for the Marine, Mr. Kozny, hopped over to Shanghai and agreed to supply the Chinese with as much salmon as they wanted. Now, this will require the construction of huge industrialized-sized farms. So Bord Iascaigh's complex earmarked for Galway Bay will be twice the size of Inishgear itself. And the Minister intends to build many more similar complexes along the west coast, for which you, the taxpayer, will cough up 70 million euros per structure. And these fish will be organic fish. Now, just think about it. These fish will be doused with insecticides. They'll be fed colorants to keep their flesh pink. They'll be dosed with antibiotics. Their food will be laced with anti-lice chemicals and animal bone meal. And they will be vaccinated and crossbred for maximum growth. They will be 4 times fatter than any wild salmon. And in my book, foisting such fish on the public as organic is a sham. The only agency describing salmon reared in such conditions as organic are Bord Iascaigh. The term organic has become a cheater's charter because it has simply no legal standing. Now, to begin with the building of his mega farms, Mr. Coveney has bizarrely asked Bord Ishgavora to apply to himself for a license to build these farms. You couldn't really make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen, because as soon as the license is granted, Bord Ishgavora will hand over the complex to someone else to run. And you can bet your next wage packet that it will be the Norwegian John Fredrickson, owner of Marine Harvest, who controls the majority of salmon production in Ireland. But let's spare a thought for poor old Mr. Fredrickson. He needs the money because he's only worth £11.7 billion. And where will the huge profits go? Will they go to build new hospitals or schools or playing fields for the kids? No. Much of the rental from these complexes will be divvied out amongst the big boys aboard Ishgavora and into their pension funds. Mr. Fredrickson will shovel his extra millions into the Norwegian banks, and Mr. Coveney will win the political brownie points he so eagerly seeks. The big losers will, of course, be you, the public, and your children, and the poor old Irish environment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this to me smacks of the good old Celtic tiger again. These huge, untried complexes are based on the same Alice in Wonderland planning, the same selfish greed, and the same refusal to listen to common sense. Well, common sense is what we've brought here today. And we're here to tell the Minister of the Marine that we do not believe the garbage handed out to us by Bord Ishgavora. And neither do we accept the trash trotted out to us by the Minister himself. We here today, and I think I speak for you all, we refuse to listen to any more lies. We refuse to have our fish destroyed and our country and waterways polluted and degraded. Mr. Coveney, no mega salmon farms.
I just walked on out from Carrigaline. I know nothing about the salmon fishing or anything, but I have one question. Is Joe Benson there? Didn't we fish a tank down there once and was in a salmon farm down there? What's the story of that? Like, certain salmon farming okay and others isn't?
Salmon farming was established in Bantry Bay in the 70s and early 70s, and there's two sites there in Bantry Bay. The fishermen fought there in the 1970s. My grandfather pleaded with them not to put it where it was, and they did, and they put it there. And what we are saying, and what we are saying with our site there, saying Bantry Bay, is no to the further expansion of salmon farming. That's what in my speech I said, no further expansion of Bantry Bay. Enough is enough. And that's what we need at Bantry Bay. Enough is enough.
Yeah, I would just like to add to that.